There's a lot to be said for experience over research. Hey there, y'all. I'm Mallory Covington. I want to talk about this because I've been seeing a lot of talk about all the research says online. And yeah, research is good and research is important, but I started doing this in 1995 when there really wasn't any research to be had. And other than what we already knew that the staples were. Then there were bodybuilders who were doing a lot of stuff that research and good exercise science said it shouldn't work and you shouldn't exercise, you shouldn't train that way and so on. And it must just be the steroids that are getting you big and all that. And okay, I understand that. There's something to be said for that. But when it comes to nutrition, there are so many different studies out there about all different kinds of things. And there's so much confirmation bias that I have to say, I don't listen to studies about nutrition because I've been doing this so long. 30 years is a really, really long time to be working with people and nutrition and looking at their blood work and their bodies and how they feel and really, really in the weeds and in the trenches doing this with people. And so when I see studies like the Keto CTA study says that it doesn't matter how high your LDL is, I want to go, really? You really think that? And yet we had a study, I don't know, sometime in the 80s or 90s that said lower saturated fat leads to lower heart disease risk. I'm like, and now we're trying to disprove that all of a sudden? Listen, here's the thing. Land animal fat, that means fat that comes from animals that walk on land and their byproducts, does raise your LDL. Now, do you care about that? I don't know. I think that really depends on whether or not you have ApoB or ApoE. If you have ApoE, maybe it's a great thing because it'll probably protect your brain from dementia. If you have ApoB, probably not a great thing because it'll probably cause heart disease. And that's about as far into the research weeds as I want to go, because once you start getting into more nuance, I'm watching doctors rip each other apart to try to pretend like they're right and they know all the answers because they've been doing this for 10 years. And I'm over here like, I've been doing this for 30. And at the end of the day, I limit how much land animal fat I have. And unless a client has a completely different need, like reversing diabetes, or they've got massive food noise going on in their head, then keto may not be the right way to go. Like high land animal fat may not be the right way to go for them. Most other people really get high HDL, myself included, and I've done this with myself and watched my blood work. So high avocado oil, coconut oil, all the really good fats, the good oils, those raise your HDL. And when we look at your HDL to triglyceride ratios being one of the most important indicators of your cardiovascular risk, then why would I want more LDL? Why wouldn't I want higher HDL? And so I don't really care what a study says. I know from personal experience and from looking at thousands and thousands of blood work and changing people's diets and watching the effects of that and seeing their bodies change, right? Seeing them lean out with less land animal fat. And here's why I know that that works so well. Because back in the 90s, when I was studying bodybuilding, long before there were even nutrition labels, so you really had to actually know what the food that you were eating, because there was no label that said, here's how much oil or fat or protein or carbs was in anything. You had to figure it out yourself. And so we had to really know nutrition back then. And back then, what bodybuilders still do this, and I know because this is a time that I'm prepping to get on stage, is we cut out all of that land animal fat as close to zero as we possibly can. And the closer we get to having to be on stage, the more we cut out all fats. But when we cut out that land animal fat, we will add back in oils, olive oil, avocado oil, flaxseed oil, things like that, because we know that our bodies actually need essential fatty acids. We just don't need to get it from animal sources. So that's how you lean out your body. It's also how you improve your HDL. Do with that information what you want, but I'm not going to sit here and get into an argument with a bunch of doctors over a research study when they're like, but I have been doing this for 10 years and I used to be obese and this is how I do it. Or I am now carnivore and I used to be heavy and this is how I do it. I don't care. I know what works. Take that for what it's worth.